WIBTA if I told my mom's realtor the truth about her house? I am not op. Original post by U. Oak Marionberry 6677 in R. Am I the asshole? Mood spoilers. Incredulous stupidity. Less than. WIBTA if I told my mom's realtor the truth about her house? June 10, 2023. I'll try to keep it short. My 28F mom, 48F, has a history of selfish decisions, but I feel like this is one of the bigger issues in my opinion. Her and her husband, we'll call him Rick, are actively getting ready to move to Hawaii. None of us, her kids, family etc., think it's a good idea. They're both around 50, have worked minimum wage their entire lives, have absolutely no savings at all aside from a couple thousand they put away from income tax this year, and have absolutely no game plan. Not to mention I keep hearing about how Hawaii natives do not want people moving there. And Rick is a self-centered jerk who thinks he's better than everyone and can see him going over there and looking down on others there and it just not going over very well. Now to the big issue. They just put their house on the market, and I found out they purposely didn't disclose any of the issues with their house. Everyone was told to mind their own business. It's their house and they'll do whatever they want. I think that's severely messed up. There's many smaller issues like the connected garage's foundation is cracked all the way through. Electrical problems, plugs that randomly overheat, turn off, plumbing issues, leaky pipes. But the kicker is there is black mold all through the outer walls of both bedrooms and all through the floor in the kitchen. There are spots in the kitchen where if you step a certain way your foot will squish through what's supposed to be a linoleum floor. I know how toxic black mold is and I've heard about how ridiculously hard and expensive it is to get rid of it and how damaging it is to the property. Well, my mom and Rick are aware that if it's known that they have black mold it'll drastically lower the price they'll get for the house, and a bank may not even finance a loan for whoever would want to buy it, or they'll have to pay out of pocket to fix it themselves before relisting the house. As I said, they work minimum wage and have no savings, so they can't afford to get rid of the mold. So they plan to clean up the walls in the bedrooms so that you can't see the mold and pray to God the inspector doesn't find the mold in the kitchen floor, and scam whoever is buying the house into buying a toxic black mold infested house. I think that's severely messed up, and I know it's not really my business, but this just adds to the many problems I have with that mother of mine, and I really want to call the realtor in charge of their listing and tell them about the problems in that house. I want to make sure she can't take advantage of some poor person trying to buy her toxic house. So WIBTA if I called her realtor and let them know what's wrong with the house so that whoever buys it isn't blindsided? Update to WIBTA if I told my mom's realtor the truth about her house, July 30, 2023. This is a loose update but also a huge facepalm. Small update. Realtor did find out issues. Some of the price got knocked off and they did find a buyer for the house. Now for facepalm. My mom and her husband Rick, fake name, are trying to move to Hawaii. It's already blowing up in their faces though. My mom and I don't talk for many reasons, but before I cut off contact, I had been trying to help her plan out their move better because her and her husband had two mortgages on their house and minimum wage jobs with no savings whatsoever, so I was worried that if they didn't wait a few years and save that they would have problems. My mom would tell me I was jealous of her and just trying to keep her here, and that I'm negative and don't know what I'm talking about. Fast forward to now. They didn't plan this out at all. They both quit their jobs already and have already gone through most of their last paycheck, garage sale money. They're supposed to be moved out of their house by the 31st so they can start closing. But they have nowhere to go. They were originally going to go camping for a little bit, but now they can't. They had originally rented a storage unit to store their stuff while they went over and found a house. That's right. They didn't even secure an apartment or house before selling their house. They also haven't even bought plane tickets LMAO. They didn't plan anything at all. But anyways, they ended up taking their stuff out of storage and paying for a pod to put their stuff in to send to Seattle so they could ship their stuff over now. Again, they don't have a home yet. Well, because they haven't closed yet. Because they haven't moved out yet. They haven't gotten the house money yet. And won't until after they move out and close. Well, they now don't have enough money to ship the pod to Seattle. So according to my stepdad, not Rick, I am close with my stepdad. He's my half-sister's dad. My mom told him that she's not leaving the house until she gets the money and can ship the pod. Only, they can't close until they move out. IDK what she's thinking. Oh, also for extra ridiculous info, they haven't even looked for new jobs over there yet. They're going over there blind with no job, no house lined up, and all their stuff. They also were going to try to sneak their cat and dog over so they didn't have to quarantine them. I just don't get it. Reminder, I am not the original poster. Now how in the heck do they think they are going to sneak a dog and cat into Hawaii? You can't even sneak in fruit. This is one that I really hope we get future updates on. They're going to wind up homeless in one of the most expensive HCOL states in the country. If they even make it there at all. Woman facepalming. They ended up taking their stuff out of storage and paying for a pod to put their stuff in to send to Seattle so they could ship their stuff over now. Pod sounds so fantastically futuristic, and the reality is always disappointing tears of joy. So mom and her idiot husband are in for a sad time. As far as I understand, Hawaii has had a housing crisis for like ever, and everything is just ridiculously expensive. If they want to be this stupid and move away or whatever, they should move to somewhere like Idaho. Lower cost of living, and most places have minimum wage jobs. I know a guy that moved to Hawaii with no money and no plan. He moved to an island and couldn't even swim. His first day there, he gets hit by a truck and had no health insurance. Thankfully things worked out for him. He was super lucky to be adopted by Lilo. I bet they don't know which of the Hawaii islands they're flying to. Don't have airfare to Hawaii. No source of income. Can't ship the pod. Will end up paying a storage fee. Might get repoed if they miss payments. Won't leave the house despite being under contract. Will most likely be in breach and will be liable for damages and will need to relist. Y'all, don't worry about how they will fare in Hawaii. They are not making it there. Kinda of wish there was future updates, cause this story might just getting interesting. On a side note, the mother and husband sound like really dumb people. Based on reading what they plan on doing and so forth. A facepalm is the best description. My parents moved to Hawaii about 10 years ago, and even with jobs and housing lined up, have not had an easy time of it. There is no possible way for them to buy a house, and with the fire on Maui earlier this year, the housing crisis has gotten even worse. I'm hoping there's an update to this in the future about how they didn't even make it out of the state due to how poorly managed everything was. There is a process to get your pets to Hawaii. They have to pass a FAVN test, rabies antibodies titer, so they must be updated on rabies vaccines and have to have at least 2 rabies vaccines in their lifetime, plus paperwork, health certificate, vet-administered flea and tick meds, be chipped, etc. Plus the airfare for your pets if in cabin or in cargo you need the approved kennels or carrier. No one will rent to them without jobs. Plus, it's not a very pet-friendly place for rentals. I don't think they will make it to Hawaii. If they do, they won't last. My bet is they wind up in Florida. This story sounds like teenagers came up with this plan to escape to Hawaii. You don't just move to Hawaii. You don't get money for the house until the transaction is completed on both ends, and the insanity of quitting your job before having tickets, having accommodations and somewhere to stay before you leave, and when you get to Hawaii secured, plus money for an incidentals, is madness. Sadly, as much as I love my mother, she would, on her own, possibly do something like this. Thankfully, my father isn't an idiot, and I try to rein in her spending and help her relationship with money. For example, she wants to retire in 3 years. Great. But she travels 4x a year. And she has an autoimmune disease that keeps her out of work frequently. And since I share my parents' Amazon Prime account, I see how much crazy stuff she buys weekly. Again, love my mom, but I worry if my dad passes first, she's going to take all that life insurance money and it'll be gone in a year or two, trying to live in a gated community close to a beach in Mexico. I'm a home inspector, and not disclosing issues like the ones OOP listed are really easy to find. Not disclosing obvious issues is super shady. A lack of financial literacy and emotional maturity combined with delusional idealism? Wow, they're screwed. They probably think Hawaii is still a place where natives live in a hut and wear fruits crown with coconut shell bra. I am reminded of another BORU post about a guy who kept moving around and getting into illegal stuff while having these really harebrained schemes trying to get rich. Hoping this one keeps on giving. I am surprised they didn't try to burn the mold house for insurance money given their combined genius. I say let them crash and burn. This is why Hawaii is better off having an ocean between them and this mess.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.